is not a coincidence. Nobody will believe it just happened by chance. So most probably this is an orchestrated campaign and an answer by CCP to the increasing objective articles by Western scholars on Church of Almighty God, and also on the fact that the Church of Almighty God issued a very detailed report on the persecution in China with figures and evidence about people tortured, people died while in jail in suspicious circumstances. And this report was published by not only by the Church of Almighty God, but at least 5 independent scholarly and human rights NGOs also published it and commented on their website. So that looks very much like an answer by the CCP to this the increasing objective attention on the Church of the Almighty God and on the persecution by respected Western scholarly and human rights organizations. Concerning the accusation of the CCP that the Church of Almighty God is an evil cult, I will start by saying that the Chinese word is jiao, and the translation evil cults is a translation used in CCP's own English language media to attract the sympathy of those in the West who are against cults. But jiao is a word that appeared during the Ming era in China, and the best translation, according to very respected scholars of Chinese language, is heterodox teachings. Now, if we look at some of the manuals used in our colleges about the history of religion in China, we find very clear statements that Xie Jiao were groups the emperor didn't like for one reason or the other. So the main standard to classify a group as Xie Jiao was the wish of the Chinese emperor. And this wish was largely governed by political idea. One example, in the mid-18th century, Christianity in general was put in the list of Xie Jiao. But then in the mid of the 19th century, because China started to have commercial relations with United Kingdom and then United States, and also because particular United Kingdom was threatening China if they killed missionaries of military intervention, all of a sudden Christianity disappeared from the list of Xie Jiao. So that shows that the classifying as Xie Jiao groups the government does not approve of, it's something which started in the 17th century. It's very old. And the Chinese Republican government and then the Chinese Communist government inherited this tradition. Of course, the only thing that is new with CCP is their persecution of Xie Jiao is much more violent than the Republican China and even the late imperial China, and also that they support this persecution with a lot of domestic and international propaganda. But basically Xie Jiao in Chinese history, from the Ming to the present CCP government, means any group for whatever reason the government does not like. And the Western media should become a little bit more smart and understand that there is a controversy about cults in the West. This word is no longer used by academics because it's judgmental. It's a tool to criticize certain group, but it's used in the media, and we will not quarrel with this, but they should understand that the notion of destructive cults or evil cults in China is completely different from the West. And Xie Zhao is very well rooted in a long Chinese tradition, and so they should start translating Xie Zhao, or being in the list of Xie Zhao, simply means it's the group the CCP government, for very different reasons, does not approve of.